Good evening once again. Welcome to another presentation in the Issues Room. Our broadcast is on Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and midnight GMT. Good to be back with you on another presentation. This is our 33rd edition, and it's a special one. Special one because of the conversation we're going to hold here tonight. I tell you, we have one important person in studios with us who will be one of our contributors, and we'll have a very good conversation. We expect you, our viewers and listeners all over the world tonight, to join in the chat room. Tell us you're here. Leboy Tengbe has already said she's in the house. We say welcome, he or she, rather. Um, we also want you to spread the word, share the link, invite a friend. You can imagine what this conversation will look like. Without further ado, like the people say, let me welcome my own colleague and brother, Moses Dogba Sandy. Good
And
evening, Moses. Welcome to the 33rd edition of the Issues Room. We're back here again. Oh, quickly before you say something, we didn't broadcast last Friday because we wanted to give our viewers and listeners and the Issues Room team an opportunity to take a break for the Christmas.
yeah,
So we did not come in on Friday, but we resumed. We will definitely broadcast the eve of New Year. So just to put it out there. Welcome, Moses.
thank you, Vakana. Thanks for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure to be here in the issues room. And as you were speaking, this is our 23rd,
33rd.
33rd podcast. It is how far we have come as an alternative media outlet, educating, informing, and routinely telling the stories as they unfold. So today we have come as we gradually push the year 2021 into oblivion. It's pleasing to be back here with you, Volcano, and let me say hi to our many listeners and viewers. Wherever you are, I want to say welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. My man, the giant, is backstage, somewhere hiding. He said, "Looking good, guys. Good
Oh,
evening.
good.
You just celebrated your birthday, Ashford, yesterday. Saw you partying in your red tux, whatever how call it, a suede jacket or something. It was
Yeah.
good looking at you, enjoying life. I will be celebrating mine on Saturday. On
Wow.
Saturday, I'll be turning another year old, and I'm looking forward to it. Capricorn, staunch Capricorn. But quickly, I want to welcome Jeremy, Jerry Jeremy in the house. Good evening and welcome. But listen, man, Moses, it hasn't been easy, come to think about everything that is happening. Again, like I said, Liberia is never shy of giving us something to talk about. So we begin our segment trending issues in the room, in the news rather. What do
Yeah.
you have there?
Well, there are a couple of prominent stories that are making headlines. Today, we begin with this news report, which says that Liberia has, for the first time since 2009, fallen sharply on an annual assessment of the Millennium Challenge Corporation, a collection of 20 independent third party indicators that measures a country's policy performance in the areas of economic freedom, ruling justly, and investing in its people. Every year, each MCC candidate country receives a scorecard assessing its performance in the free policy investigation. I'm very sorry for that uh, technical glitch. But as I was saying, every year, each MCC candidate country receives a scorecard assessing its performance in the three policy categories: ruling, ruling justly, investing in people, and encouraging economic freedom. So, what the report is saying that Liberia has over the years not performed well in meeting the expectations of the NCC, the Millennium Challenge Corporation. That's a sad news for Liberia.
Okay.
Another top story is that President George Mane Weah has released another musical album. The album titled Congratulations was released last week as a tribute to his loyal presidential aide, Sekou Kolasco. The music was released on Sekou's wedding day. However, some critics of Mr. Weah have condemned him for minimizing the pride and dignity of the Liberian presidency by committing the people's time and resources to producing music, playing football, and preaching at his church. The people are crying, saying that hey, this man is better using our time for extra activities when he doesn't even speak to us.
Well,
Um, yeah, you want to
uh,
say something
yeah,
quickly?
Moses,
Mhm.
when you go and say something, the people say you hit the government, you hit the president, you hit everything. But look around the world. Look at how the presidency is run. Look at that over office. Look at the dignity, the pride. Where you seen president do these kinds of things, making the song for Sekou Kolasco?
Yeah, a presidential
Do you
aide,
be Sekou Kolasco?
Sekou Kolasco, a presidential aide. Can
I
you
listen to the
imagine
song
that?
and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah,
Is it the end time?
yeah,
Really? A president
a
will
president.
scoop to that level,
Mhm.
and then people should accept that and not say anything, and then you hit the guy?
Yeah, you know.
Moses will come back to that on another day.
Yeah,
So thank you for
and
those stories. I thought
oh,
I thought it was important story,
definitely,
that the Liberian
definitely.
president, he has his neighbors right around him, Marabio,
Yeah.
Dumbuya, and the rest of those guys, the president of Ghana. What do you think those guys are saying?
Of course, they make mockery
What
of Liberia.
what seriousness they're going to give to him?
They make
That's why
mockery
nobody
of
goes to the
Liberia.
country. No president wants to go there. You know, but
Uh, uh,
we'll save it for
and
another
and
day.
and Mr. Shelton, quickly, let me say that just to piggyback on what you said. When his colleagues around the world and see him minimize the office, the pride that comes with the presidency to that level, uh, the image is not good for Liberia. The guy takes the presidency for joke. I
But if
mean,
the
we're
man
not
can sneak
saying that
into
as president. We are not in any way insinuating that as a president you cannot, have some free time. But come on, man, you
or to
can't.
make song for
Presidential
Sekou
aide?
Kolasco,
A
yeah,
presidential aide?
yeah.
That's
Can you imagine
unfortunate.
that?
Yeah.
But if the guy can sneak into Ghana, a
Really?
sitting president sneaks into Ghana, right? Until the
Yeah.
Ghanaian president has to complain
That's sad.
that
I,
you're not coming in my country to be welcomed,
yeah.
where the military
Unannounced.
guard of honor is serving. You come in the country like some thief in the night.
Yeah, you can do that, man.
Why is he going to Ghana surreptitiously? Why? You're not an
So,
ordinary person.
so as 2023 comes, what is this guy going to tell the people of Liberia?
No, because the people of Liberia can see and they can hear, so they will feel. But let's go to the topic we're here for tonight.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome all of you, our viewers all around the world. This is the Issues Room, the alternative media platform. We hold no party link. We have no ties to any political institution. We come here to discuss the issues that matter to our country, that matter to our people. And this evening, one of those conversations here tonight is on gender-based violence, which is pervasive now in Liberia with sub components of sexual violence, sexual exploitation, rape, and so forth. We want to bring on our beautiful panelist tonight, Miss. Is it Mrs.? I want to be right because sometimes you got to put the people. Come again. You're muted.
She's
You're
mute.
muted.
She's mute. Yes, in the okay.
Mrs. Yosendi Martin Page.
Okay, just wanted to be sure. All right. Good evening. Welcome to the Issues Room. Your first time. Thanks for honoring our invitation. We expect this conversation to be very brilliant tonight. You are a part of social services. You advocate for issues on gender and the non-yard. But before we commence the conversation, tell us a little bit about yourself so our viewers can have an understanding of who Mrs. Martin Kweye is, and what do you bring to the conversation tonight.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shelton and Mr. Cindy. It's an honor being here.
Thank you.
Whenever I'm called upon to speak on behalf of my gender and on behalf of my country or the children of my country or the future, it's always an honor. You guys know I come on around this time every Thursday, Tuesday, but I thought this conversation was really important. We can take everybody and bring them over here. So if you follow me on Facebook, please let's just be part of the conversation because we're talking about the same thing that I talk about. Now, I've advocated since I was 13 years old. So I have about 38 years under my belt. I have spoken on women and children issue human trafficking at the UN not once. I have testified in private, in public at the US Congress. Um, I have been going back and forth to Liberia since 1999 and 95, since I was about 25 years old. That tell you what my age is. So we started this journey and let me say thank God for social media. Social media have made it very easy that I don't have to get on the plane to go to Liberia to talk to my community. I can talk to my aunt on the farm, and I can sit right here. You're sitting in your state and I'm in my state, and we don't have to come to each other to bring the word into our room and into our space to educate. So my goal is to inspire young people, the next generation, and this generation to say what has been is not correct. What has been that you call tradition had destroyed us. Although you didn't give us the time to talk, you have not heard us. We act the way we act because you have heard us for centuries. But now we're speaking of, I'm speaking women and children because we are the most discriminated against, even at doing wars anywhere around the world. This issue is not limited to Liberia. Let's understand this. But Liberia is my country of birth. Liberia is where this happened and nothing happens. Okay, so this is what I bring to the table. I bring to the table our children that are molested every day, our little boys that have to hold tables just so they can eat. And and I'm gonna go there a little bit. I heard a man today who said, "Oh, these company are here and they're making money, and we must get money from them." Your job is not to get money from them. Your job is to maximize what's supposed to come to the Liberian people so you don't have to go back and beg. When you beg, I call it a kickback or a pay to play. That's where in the ethical world or in the legal world, that's how it works. But I would say this to you though. Ignorance of the law does not excuse you from violating or being a criminal. And I'm going to stop here for Ken. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's just set the tune. First define gender-based violence, and then we can dissect those components of gender-based violence. Is any type of harm that is perpetrated against a person or group of people because of their factual or perceived sex, gender, sexual orientation, and or gender identity. Now, when we look at Liberia, we don't have all of the other components, but we mostly have male to female kind of violence. I mean, very seldom you will find female to female because it's not prevalent in our society. And I would say, uh, female against male because it's not prevalent. Not that those kinds of situations don't take place, but they're far in between. But for what we've seen, on the overall, from research and everything trending out of Liberia, we have so much violence against, like you said, women and children, and that's the issue trending right now. So let's look at from Moses Sandy's perspective. Let's start with the exploitation, sexual exploitation. which is a component of gender-based violence.
Yeah. Before I can even speak on that, I would just like to add on that when we talk about sexual exploitation, the boundary is not limited to women and men. It goes beyond that. Today we have sodomy. You know, you have men to men.
Yeah, yeah,
You have teachers in the classroom, male teachers, who are sexually molesting male students, and they do that. Say, you be my friend, I give you grace. Offer privileges. Oh, look, you're gonna be on the team. You will be the group leader. You will be the girls leader. So that's one of those things that come with sexual exploitation. Another one is in the workplace. You have people in authority, people of power. A manager that will say, "Well, look, the job is yours if only you can accept to be my friend." And when they ask for friendship, they're asking for sexual favor. I know you're saying they will speak more to that, but in some ways, these are things that are happening. You have older men who go into the villages. A male of 65 we go and talk to a mom who is financially strapped, who has a 10-year-old, and say, "Well, your 10-year-old is my daughter," and begins to throw $1 or $2 and just give it a couple of months and he start sexually abusing the young girl. So this problem we're talking about is so pervasive in our country. It's all over, in the churches, in schools, in community organizations, um, in families, because we have family members who are also doing that, exploiting kids. One thing I learned in my field of work, as besides being a media person, one thing I learned in my field of work is that as a clinical social worker, people who you trust, your relatives, are those who exploit your children. They take advantage of
Correct.
them. So this is a serious problem. And let me pause there to
is it
give
clear?
you the opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much. And let me first of all say again, thank
Yeah,
you to you men for adding your voices,
yeah.
because it's upon your shoulders and that we will use as ladder to speak louder as women.
Hmm.
Because our nation or our country does not have respect for women. And I'm saying to women, you have to come out boldly and take it. I remember 4 years ago when I started on this platform, I made a lot of enemies. People didn't want to talk about this issue. Okay. People would come in my inbox. And then later, people were bullying me, but they didn't know where they were in for because they didn't know me. Now, you are respected because we're in a patriarchal country where men have been the voices, where men control the economy, where men control, they say, women can't do that, women can't do that. And let me tell you what I tell girls. If you put you and I on equal playing field intellectually and give us the same amount of opportunity, we can compete.
Yeah.
In America, we have women astronauts. We got neurosurgeons that are women. It's not because they can't learn math. All my girls are into math and sciences. They're excellent at it. So I'm trying to make this point. It is exactly where Moses said. All right. But here is where we fall short as a nation. The government is in favor of it. Here's where I say, when I say that people get mad, I mean you're holding. This is not from George Weah era. Let's just declare that. But my people, 80% of my family people voted for Weah with the hope that he was to change, with the hope that he would fight for them, with the hope that he would create jobs that our people will not be back, that will still not have 80% unemployment, that he will maximize whatever contract or investment that come to our country, that there will be added value or value addition, that our country will benefit, not sign a paper, then go in the back and get what you can get. So, I went to the UN a few years ago, and we were speaking on sexual based violence. And the doctor, that's what the doctor from who in the same field like Moses from Canada, he said you can give all the condoms to all the women in the street running prostitution. But if a guy shows up and this man, the woman have to feed her children, and the guy tells this woman, listen, I don't want to use condom. This is what I want you to do.
So,
She have to choose between the condom, her safety, and keeping her children alive. This is a life and death issue for our country, whether we like it or not. You know, one thing that I've come to realize with us, and we must graduate from this is volcano house is on fire, and I have water for me and my children to save my house. I will shut my door. Maybe I'll pour water around my house and be prepared to put a light up if it's come to my house. I will not help. I watched that. I watched that. I send we, not but we, the diaspora women for change, which is headed by Dr. Francine and the Alliance of Liberian Women International, which is headed by me. Most of the time we get called babies, 4 year old, 3 years old, being raped. And the people say, we've called, there's no help. Then we have to pay somebody to get a motorbike, to go up interior, to bring that child to Monrovia for that child to get treatment. Let's go back 5 months ago. A 2-year-old was raped, according to the Liberian people, by a chimpanzee in Nimakani. And people said they saw the chimpanzee. Watching Liberians, where we have graduated to, we're numb, traumatized. I watch Liberian watch people murder people while they stand there and don't move. But they will take picture. Nobody have picture of the chimpanzee. We sent the money for the baby to be brought, although other people said they did, and that's fine. All of us did, and which is good collectively. And somebody told me that we're not the first time that the chimpanzee were raping a baby. But since we brought that to light, no other child have been raped by chimpanzee. And it's not likely for a, we're talking about a giant, we're talking about a heinous, humongous giant that can tear a tree into half, will take a baby. It will not mate with a baby. It may take that baby and knock it, maybe kill it. But in fact, your person don't use it. It will protect the child. It will hold the child and run away with it. But to sit and rape a 2-year-old folks, so since they are not happening.
Listen, I think this conversation will get graphic in some instances, and I say this because we have to say viewers and listeners' discretion is advised.
Correct.
Because there's no way you can talk about this kind of issue and not have some graphic nature. But let's look at the types of gender based violence. We talked about psychological,
Yep.
stalking,
Yep.
physical, forced marriages, um, rape,
yeah.
female genital mutilation,
Yep.
forced abortion, forced sterilization,
Mm-hmm.
sexual harassment. All of those things are component of gender-based violence, and we find these things pervasive, like Moses said. And one important element that is trending now in the news is Mr. Vargas, a Peace Corps volunteer teacher, who, when I use the word volunteer, not in the context that he's not being paid, but he works for, uh, is it called Grace International School?
Our
Grace
Lady of
International.
Grace.
Yeah. Our
Yeah,
Lady
Our
of
Lady
Grace,
of Grace.
definitely.
Grace
Yeah.
International School,
Mhm.
who, according to stories, was sending, nude pictures to
Students.
children. We call them children. We don't even call them women, because I believe they were probably in elementary and junior high, and customarily would be girls probably below 15, especially for that school, um, and probably coercing them. And who knows whether he may have fondled with them, or
Yeah.
what could have gone further. Um, but when this came to light, and imagine the vice president's granddaughter is one of the victims in this case. So that tells you, like you talked about my neighbor's house burning, Joel Howard Taylor did not put in the voice to what of significance. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. That when you sit there supinely and not address these things and take action as the first female vice president in the country who should grab some of those national issues and run with it. While George Weah sit there and make music for Colasco, and you run with those important issues, then it comes to your doorstep. And not to say we're whooshing bad, but this is what happens. And now the guy, because he understands that this is a possible lawsuit, jail time, and all those things to save himself, to save his family, he commits suicide. That's one of the issues. But this guy has a history. He worked formerly with More Than Me,
More than me.
and More Than Me was notorious. There's a full documentary on what happened with this Kelly Gare and her Liberian boyfriend by the name of Macintosh the Late, who was spreading HIV to girls 12, 13 from the slum of West Point and places, making big promises to them that he will educate them and send them abroad. He is deceased. He didn't, deal with his own problems and he ended up dying. But that's not all. We have the story of Lil Angel
In
Togba
October, yeah.
years ago during Ellen's time.
Yep.
We have another story where this boy, the little girl was selling. I saw this footage right down Johnson Street Slipway area where he pulled the girl in and raped her and then started making big mouth in front of the police how the girl was this, the girl was not small girl, and the man was being descriptive. And I
Yep.
said, but nobody ain't put kicking the man more yet for being disrespectful to this girl that he's just raped. Then
Yep.
there's another story of a boy somewhere, I believe, Lofa or Bong County, by the age of 15, 16 years old, took a 3-year-old child, tried to molest the child.
Mhm.
He could not, go the
Bubble.
front. He took razor blade and ripped the child at the back just to
Yep.
make space for him. So when I
Yep.
said this conversation may get graphic, I'm only trying to tell you some of these heinous acts by these people, and they're still eating steak. They're still drinking orange juice, drinking milk because we don't know where they are. We don't know where these people are. And this is where we are because no one seems to care to do lip service. Mr. President went to the United Nations and declared that it's an emergency. But if it is an emergency, why are you singing Sekou Kolasco's song? You should be singing a song against rape. Then I will clap
Mhm.
for you, Mr. President, rather than telling us my charisma on you, Liberian people, your charisma on me. Oh, yeah. Well, so people take these kinds of national matters very, very cheaply, and that's why nothing is done.
But
Moses.
look, yeah, let me just come in and let me add on to the point you made regarding the presidency. To tell you the challenge, the leadership crisis that Liberia is currently faced with. The topic we're discussing here, recently, a minister counselor at the Liberian embassy in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria,
Yep.
a Liberian journalist, Nat Beji, I'm told his 7 years old daughter was repeatedly raped by two young men. And the two young men at the time stayed with another staff at the embassy compound. When the story broke, the ambassadors and others looked the other way. I am told the two gentlemen or the two boys are currently in Monrovia. That's what they did. Remove the two accused, send them to Monrovia, and yet Nat Beji is yet to get justice. This man worked for the government of Liberia on the compound of the Liberian embassy. This is not somebody who is in West Point. We're not talking about someone in a village. And you have a president who says, rhetorically, that, oh, well, I'm committed to to fighting against gender-based violence. You see the hypocrisy? So then where's Mr. Weir? When all these things are happening, is he telling us that He's not aware of what happened in Nigeria. What action has the Minister of Foreign Affairs taken in resolving this problem? What action has the Minister of Justice of the Republic of Liberia taken in giving
And
Minister
Moses,
Councillor
just
Nadbeji justice? Yes,
just
go
pause,
ahead.
just
Mhm.
pause because you talked about a foreign minister.
Yes.
There's a man who was accused of sexual harassment
Mhm.
during his tenure
Yeah, in
at
New York.
the United Nations,
Mhm.
but yet he was confirmed, and that case is unresolved as of
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
So so many things people continue to turn the blind eye. But
Yeah.
let's see what Mrs. Paye knows about some of these things and what depth of you know support her organization and that of the Alliance of Women have contributed to bring the government, hold the government accountable, bring its foot to the fire, uh to get some actions, because it seems as though everything is just lip service.
So here is my thought, right? In a nation, for that nation to change and progress, the leadership, change will start from the top and development start from the bottom, right? The more you impact your people and impact them with wisdom and knowledge, the country get to change. But the leader have to have the courage to lead, and the leader have to have the moral and the willpower to lead, right? Here we don't have it. I'm saying it. I know people get mad at me. The last time I was on Spoon, people are like, why you bring her here? She said the president is this. When I say the president is this, I live in a country where when you aid in the bed, you become a part
Of
of
course.
the crime. In fact, you bear more because you knew better when you aided and you were bedded. He is the commander in chief. He is the father of the nation. He's the one that we entrusted with our resources, our bank account, our lives, our jobs, the future of our children. Last year, September, not this past September, September before 2020 September, the president declared rape as the national emergency, as an epidemic, with the promise that he was going to make the initial investment of $2 million to be able to kind of curb this, or at least bring that to the public space and hold people accountable. Up to September, there was nothing done. Okay. Now you're talking about a school. Why are we collecting money for educating our children? Wouldn't it be a priority of the nation, especially in today's global economy, that education become paramount because the children are the future? There's a saying that goes, and look at it from the Confucian. He says, if you want to see the future of a nation, see how it treats its current generation, because the current generation is the leadership in waiting. Now, that little girl you spoke about, the 3 year, it was in Buffalo. In fact, Rosa Park was the one who went on Bruno back to carry money. Nyla, I need you to go to grandpa, please. That's my granddaughter. Um, Babalu, and they brought her. The other day when we were on spoon, somebody asked and said, and they put the man in jail. Where else you want? One thing that we must understand though, I'm seeing women here on this platform, those who call me, who are victims of rape. You never get over it. I've came close to that. I still live it during the war. But here's where my fight is. Looking at this government, they're not going to deliver. They don't care. They accept it. I'm sorry, they're part of that. I'm saying that. Okay. They're part of that in the sense that they're not doing anything about it. So that means they okay it, meaning a sanction against our children. The more than me issue, when it came up, we were in front of that. We had the kids go out and protest. Our lady, our vice president, had just been elected. We are was the giant statue. Nobody could say anything to him because we believe in him. My mother believe in we are. My sibling believe in we are. I'm just telling you that. All right. And when our children got in the street to protest, Madam Joelle Howard Taylor was supposed to go to Kitty Murder program that night. So we protested. The next day, Madam Joelle Taylor sent a group of kids out to protest. And then the journalists went out to interview them. And she said, "What you're here causing noise? Let the people close the school down. You're rather than be running prostitution in the street than being getting sex and getting education." She said that the recordings are out there. I may not be putting it, word for word, but that's the overall idea. And one of the girls will ask question, did this man molest you? I still have the recording. I'll send it to you later. And the little girl said, no, for me, he molest me or he just used to finger me. And that's funny.
So
See,
so
Sad.
so
I
molesting
don't know
means he has to
because
physically be he
yes,
has to physically
Yeah, she
it
was
has
talking
to do
about
with penetration.
penetration. Yeah,
right.
she wanted
And
penetration.
and, and,
Yeah.
and Volcano and Moses, I love the place where you explain what that is. It's not just penetration. It's like when I spoke at the Congress, people cuss me up. They still cussing me up and say it's a lie. Listen, go do your research. Your newspaper out there that the word charity group warn women from going to Liberia because they are risking Liberia. Liberia for it is the most reported rape in the world at least 2 years ago. I'm not sure about now. Okay. And I will look again. I have a research paper. I will send it to you. All right. And because of this stress, suicide now in Liberia is the number 10th or 11th killer. Rape is the number one crime now, or the number two. 2 years ago, was number one. So when your nation violate its citizen to that point, and people walk around island, nothing happened. We watched this girl, Hawa Menza sister in the community, sexually violated, beaten to death in the community. Mr. Sandy, Mr. Shelton, your ask your let's touch our as Liberian. Especially today, you go to Liberia, everywhere is congested. Even if your fence is this high, everybody around your fence. You won't tell me nobody saw the people beating this woman to death? You won't tell me nobody heard this woman yell? The child you're talking about on Crown Hill that was selling milk candy, I think she was 16 and she was a virgin. The man came and took all her candy, and I think he had been watching her. She was selling her milk candy. And he divided it. And he told the girl, follow me and get your money. As the girl followed him, he's running to his room. She gets to the door, he grab her, push her outside, rip her. I mean, inside, rip her. The little girl came, I still have the video with all her clothes, with blood all over it. And she's crying. Her mother is mad. She goes to attack this man. The neighbors in the community grab the woman. Oh, you woman move for him in our big head. Wait. So I guess we are conditioned to these things. Here is the way forward for me. The only way Liberia can find a place to stand. We need a war and economic crimes court, not just that we need a full implementation of the TRC, because we are being traumatized and conditioned for these things. And you know, people think when you say we need a TRC, so people will go to jail. People might not even go to jail, but people will get help. The country will get help. The money out there for mental health. The money out there for reconstruction of Liberia. The money out there to ease some of our pain, the trauma that we endure. But again, let me come back to say to you, because of men like you, other men will check themselves. We are hurting in our community, our little girls, not just in Liberia here. Let me tell you something. My 13-year-old niece in Philadelphia, I'm sure you heard about this. This guy, and I'm not his first time raping people, raping kids until we find out later. He will befriend you when you have a little girl. You know, around the age of 13, 14, the body of the little girl is changing. She becoming a woman. She has an attitude. Mommy and daddy sometimes are not the best people that want to talk to or deal with everything. Mommy and they said they all are our teenager before. So
Yeah.
he would act like he's the confidant that somebody can talk to. We came to find out this man had molested a child. That's why she was acting up. Then when the
Hmm.
parents found out to what do you call it, ask him, he brought his wife and his mother to beg the man to say this man must take my niece, put her on the plane, he will pay for her, he will support her in Liberia until the kids died down. And the father said, hell no, I'm not going to punish my daughter twice. I'm taking you to, he ran away. I think they find he in jail now. So this is a commonplace. If you remember last year, a little girl turned 18 in Rhode Island. Her father is a pastor. This man had been molesting this child from refugee camp in Ghana until they came to America. When she graduated and walked away, she died 911 to tell the people that her father had molested her from 7 years old. So this is not just on the ground. This is a problem. This is an epidemic. that need to be holistically approached. For instance, we're talking about what do you want to, and you know, the old, and I'm going to be sensitive because it's part of my mother's culture. What is the benefit of you cutting my parts? Do I agree for you to cut my parts? God created my parts. Maybe I might not go home, but I will go home. But I don't want to be, it has been a belief system. How do we come to the table that we are not dismissive, that we're not disrespectful, but to have a candid conversation? Because yesterday they said women were incapable of learning. Women belong to other people's property. We had a woman president. We got a woman vice president. We got a woman vice president in America. How do we change the conversation without being dismissive and disrespectful? But this conversation needs to be had. It is important.
And absolutely, absolutely, and we can go on and on and on with some of the most prevalent cases. Tobias Bowen is
Yes,
another case, uh,
nasty.
who went to serve as administrator of Redemption Hospital, but this guy had this in his history. From Europe to America and then back to Liberia, and finally, I believe he should be in jail or so. I'm not even
I
sure.
think, I
But
think, I think, as I heard 2 weeks ago, he was out for bail. I will find out again. The saddest thing here is for Keno is that the news out of Liberia with violence is fluid. It's hard that we just sat here and chronicle about 15, 20. I can sit here and chronicle about 100 plus. Okay. A certain
and
lawmaker under the UP-led government, Mariah Morales from Granada, raped a 12-year-old, impregnated her, born at 13.
Yeah.
that was
What
the
are
guy
you
we're
talking
looking
The
for
about?
today.
representative, yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Her name is Regina. I mean, Regina. Yes, her name is
Yeah.
Regina. Yes.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But let me bring these guys' name. I don't care how old they are. At their age in the real world, they will be qualified as adult and try as adult. Alio Sinclair is one of, and he's in Monrovia walking around. Uh, Abula Masakwe is one of the two boys that raped that little child over and over again. They
At
cannot
the
be
Library Embassy, right?
yes, I don't
In
know,
Lagos.
MSC, yes. And
Yeah.
on my own platform, because I don't want to violate, I will post
Yeah.
it. If you like it, they can come after me, but I have to respect the platform. For me, I don't particularly care. I will show the faces to people because they can rape another child. What do? We have to protect the other kids against them, these people.
Thank you. Let me quickly
Yeah.
go to intermission.
Okay.
We want to say thank you so much for coming in tonight. The issues room is back. We didn't broadcast on Friday because of the holidays. We wanted to give people the break to spend Christmas with their family, the Eve, and so forth. But it's good to be back. Today is Tuesday, the 28th of December. This Friday we'll broadcast. We're still working out the modalities for our next production. However, we want to welcome Madam Yvette Sivos from the Atlanta, Georgia area, Bennett O. O'Connor, or rather Bennett O'Connor, David G. Moore. There's somebody here through a Russian name. I don't even know what. I'm not even trying to.
Yeah.
You see the man Russian name?
Oh no, I cannot can't
Yeah, I'm not
pronounce
trying
that.
to.
Yeah.
My man, when you send the interpretation, I'll call your name. Josh Saab, Balion Nabil Jr. It's good to have you back in the house. Willett Dunbar, Sierra Townsend, Namiento Nino Brown. Good evening, welcome. Melvin DeShield watching from Europe. Miata Sterling, Stella rather, Herring. It's good to have you back in the house. Uh, JJ Sakov from all the way in Australia. Good evening and welcome. Seba Karate and Sophie Randall, Darius Kai, St. Patrick's, all you wonderful people, Washington Dolo, the Giant, Gali is in the house. Jerry Jeremy and Leboy Tengbe who say good evening. Share the link. This conversation is getting a little important to have a lot of you come in. But you know,
Look,
I was looking at. I wanted to bring us to this point.
yeah.
We're looking at just the Liberian scenario, Yacinti.
Hmm.
But let's look at the foreigners who are coming to Liberia. Chinese man, Lebanese man, uh, you know, and I would throw myself under the bus. I, Volcano Shelton, would throw myself under the bus.
Please
My
go
mother
ahead.
was
I'm hearing.
underage when she had me. My father was older than my mother, which was statutory rape.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
whether she's consented or not, I'm not going to
She
go into the
can.
story. But
She
Yeah.
can. She was a
she was
kid.
she
She was
was
okay.
younger.
She couldn't make informed
Yeah,
decision.
she
Yeah.
was way younger,
Yeah.
and so if you think about how many other young people, mulattoes in Liberia, who were born through statutory rape,
Yeah.
and none of these guys, nothing happened to them.
Of course.
Nope.
And when they bring the Lebanese women, they want nobody to touch them. Oh,
Nope.
No.
oh yeah, they can take the women and hide them way behind the counter or
Mm-hmm.
in the house. But they want to be all with our little girls in Liberia, and it's just common. And nobody seems to care. The
Mhm.
Chinese men all over the country, these Asian guys, uh, Nigerians coming in, but even the Ekoma people, let's also tussle. They think the
Oh yeah,
Ekoma
they
men
took
did right
advantage
in our
there. Yeah.
faces,
Mhm.
but the gun were passing around. What could we do? So
Nothing.
this is a serious matter. So it's not just common for Liberians themselves, but the foreigners are doing same and getting away with it. And I just wanted to bring that to the discussion.
Yeah, and I just want to add some numbers here. As we're preparing for this podcast, I decided to do a look at the number out there. Just between the month of January and June of 2020, we're not even talking about 2021, 2020, according to Front Page Africa, 600 cases, including rape and sexual exploitation, were reported across Liberia. And we're just talking about cases that are reported. We're not talking about like what Yacinda was talking about. Or, the guy goes to the family and say, oh, my people, look, I wrong. I did it. You're doing embarrass me. Let her know
Yep.
the family way.
And but the new thing now, Moses, under the family with the community chairman, he the chief justice of Liberia.
Oh,
All the
yeah.
cases now they're trying to solve it by
Yeah.
community
Yeah.
chairman instead of
Mhm.
going through the rule of law.
Yeah.
Let the court take its course.
Yeah.
They start the people will take the cases from the police
From
station
the
and
police
carry it back
station, take it to the community to
to
investigate.
community chairman.
Mhm.
So they are
Yeah.
the chief. They're the chief justices.
Mhm.
All the community chairmen now. So
Yeah.
are we now reducing the law?
Oh, yeah.
Are we now reducing the process, the due process of law,
Yeah. To
to just
community
having
chairman.
to sit down and sit around
Mhm.
and say that, oh, my people, you're sorry for what I did, and let me just restitute something, and that's it? Or
Yeah.
do we prosecute these people so they know how serious this matter is?
A culture of impunity.
And that's
You
where the
know.
aiding and abetting comes in. That's why
hmm
I'm holding the leadership accountable. We entrust.
And
Go
as
ahead.
we discuss this, let's look at the causation. Why so many people are being sexually exploited in Liberia? Uh, why so many people are being raped? And the causations are many. One is abject poverty. Like we're talking about older men who date younger girls and statutorily rape them. They offer the parents little stuff. Like the lawmaker from Maryland. Of course, as they say in Liberia, you may have used cash violence, of a few dollars. And a family, can you imagine having a family where that has no income and you have a 55-year-old man offering, on a monthly basis, $25 US to the family, waiting that Jamaican not doing at home to any of the girls who live there. He's the person they look up to. So sexual exploitation is one of those. Abject poverty is one of the contributing factors. Another contributing factor is the lack of parental supervision and monitoring. A lot of our parents do not monitor where their kids are in Liberia. You have a 10-year-old going and coming out well. For Kiana, what makes you a dad, what makes you a mom is consistently being aware of where your kids are and what they are doing. We don't monitor, we don't supervise. And we need to work on that. That's one of those contributing factors. Another contributing factor is political privileges or employment opportunities. And I'm sure Yasini can speak to that as a lady, what it means. What it means securing jobs in Liberia. Do you remember? Even our president, George Manuel Weah, is accused of similar thing by the chairman of the CDC. The guy said, why? The president offered jobs to women, now why? He goes after.
And this is what we consider coercion of power, using a power of authority
Coercion, yes.
Yeah.
to influence that. Yeah.
And let me stop there and give you guys the opportunity to expand. Yasini, you want to
Yes.
expand?
So that number were even more than that, Mr. Sandy.
Yeah.
By the time we met in September for the 3-day protest, we have over 900 according to Peace City and her
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Mind you, we are shamed and punished twice when we are raped in Liberia or we abused in Liberia. So just know those were the ones that were brave enough to report that.
Yeah.
Um, I did a study that was 2 years ago where it says about over 60% of Liberian girls would be molested or sexually abused before they reach the age of 10. A lot of people thought, oh, that is too high. No, it's not. Because I've been in a room with Liberian women where even the fathers and people, you define that. Our culture, when our culture dictates in today's moral society, it's ripped. When a little girl boots is just coming out and you're walking around grabbing onto her and telling her you're supposed to be my wife, that's sexual assault.
Yeah.
When the woman you don't know, you see her, you slap her in her butt. We saw Nathaniel McGee about a year ago when he went to open a place and the lady was dancing and he grabbed and slapped this woman butt. This is the chief of staff of the president, wherever his position is, it does not matter to me. Not
You're
only
talking
that,
about Prince Johnson?
no. I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about Nathaniel McGee being
Just
Nathaniel
Minister Miguel, the Minister
state
Miguel.
minister.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I've seen where there's other one, to do that, to live in this country. To know you will not touch any woman back like that. I don't
Oh,
care what
really?
they tolerate it.
So
I think
Yasini, quickly, let me not cut you. Are you saying that Minister Twe, sexually harasses women?
I
Is
just
that
said
what I heard?
I got a video. I still got a video. I'll send it to y'all.
Okay.
Like when people send me these things, the part that are
Yeah.
important
Yeah.
for historical purposes, I have screen recorded and I keep them. So tomorrow you can't come. It's like when I spoke to those issues, and I
Okay.
have to come back and give people references, okay,
Okay.
and to tell you that this is because we can't fix what is wrong unless we acknowledge and look at the complexity of it. You see,
Yeah.
you and I talking about the health of the nation.
Yeah.
How many people here? By the time we done, maybe 1,000 people will watch. If I were talking about politics, if I jump today, I say I'm going to run in District 4. All the people who hated me before will be a part of this process.
Yeah.
Okay. If
Yeah.
I say I want to go run
And
for
and
president,
if you're running on the CDC ticket.
No, man, people running away from CDC now.
No, man.
I will leave that to my mom then, or those things that it will embarrass me. I will leave
Okay,
that to
Yasini, go ahead.
Yeah, I will leave that to my mom and my cousin because my cousin was CDC USA chair. People don't
Oh,
even believe that. Oh, he was.
okay.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
So we
Okay.
split the family per se. So if you were insulting somebody, if you were describing somebody anonymous, this is how abused this our psyche is. This is where we invite into our room. Like there's a saying that goes, when your eyes and your ears are the window to your soul, right? What we
Yeah.
see more of we become, what we hear a lot of we become, then nothing shock us anymore. So for
Yeah.
me, I think Liberians are now conditioned to violence and they don't deem it as anything. The reason you and I talking about when we're outside, we have experience. Volcano,
Yeah.
you didn't know your man was raped. You just know your pa, maybe your pa took care of you and that was fine, and maybe you
Yeah.
people didn't have, and
Yeah.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You didn't know that. And there are a lot of fundraising going on. People go up interior. What they are doing now is people will go up interior and bring people, little boys,
Yeah.
our women.
Hmm.
and their husbands are sleeping with our sons.
Yeah.
I get those calls.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's scary.
Right. But let me say this to you though. This is not a today's story, and here is why. I believe it was 78 or 79. I was just a little girl, and I overheard my parents talking. There was a counselor between Buchanan and Yakipa that used to, a name would come to my mind. He used to molest young girls in middle school and high school and document it and send it to different countries in Africa. That's how he made money. So this particular day, this particular year, the catalog were made, and unfortunately, the catalog landed in Liberia instead of in the country that it was designated for, the designated country. Some of these girls ended up committing suicide instead of their parents going for this dude. Okay, and people have kind of corroborated that. The, all of this didn't come to my mind until I got really, really strong in advocacy, and I thought I would imagine it. Then I asked my mom. Then people started coming on my post and start giving the name. Okay, the name will come to mind before we go. And the parents prosecuted the girls. They prosecuted the kids. They were babies. They were like 13, they were 14, they were
Yeah. They
15,
have
they
no
were
clue.
16. This man was a lawyer and in the position of power.
Yeah.
Okay. When you are in the position of power, okay, what you do influence. And let me say to all of you, little girls, when they're growing up, even me, my dad had a friend. His name was Blake. I don't remember Blake's last name, and I was a teenager. I thought Bill and Blake was the cutest guy on the whole block, not people my age. And, he would come, he would give me $1. Thank God for my parents and thank God for him. But he protected me. All right. At the time, I didn't know better because I saw young other girls walking around and doing the same thing. And, Blake would kind of say, I want to scratch Blake hair because he would give me something or he would pay attention to me. Little
Yeah.
girls do this.
Yeah.
Ask anybody who teaches
Yeah.
middle school or high school. If you have a cute uh, um, teacher, male or female, the kids are attracted to you. Your job is to nurture them. Your job is to redirect them. Your job is to protect them. Your job to make sure they feel safe, that the future is safe, and redirect their path. Your job is not to take advantage of them. And this is what's happening in Liberia. And it's rampant. They're doing it to our boys. They're doing it to our girls. They're going up. And most of you spoke to something and say most Liberians are not good parents. Liberian will allow somebody to come to their village and pick up their child. They will
Yeah.
never come back to check on that child.
That's right.
They will never. And even if the child runs away and go to them, they will pack that child and bring that child back without asking them. When your father parent friends come to your house and they want you to bring something, if you run away, your parents will find you and say you disrespectful, you will bring there and a friend. You don't know where that child is running away. You got to watch your children.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop here
And
and
I
speak.
think these are things that happen because of the abject poverty that people live
Hmm.
under. And everyone knows that the way out of poverty is education. And so if somebody comes from the city and go to the interior and trying to take your child, uh, they might not
Or
even understand the motive for that. And
yeah.
sometimes they bring the child to the city, the child don't even go to school. The
No.
next thing they put with a market on the child here to go all between cars and sell. And that's a form of violence. You promise to take care of a child and educate the child, and then you bring the child to the city, and now the child is in the street. I think you guys saw the video of this woman who went for the little girl, and the little girl went to play, and then the money or something, and this guy phoned the girl and brought her back. So and these are
Yes,
many of the kinds of situations in the country. But we can talk about this all we want. What do we do about it as a country, as a society? We have a president who said it was an issue of national concern, it was of national emergency. He made a commitment, as you said, $2 million in the budget. He also said he will have a special prosecutor for those people who continue to perpetrate rape against women and children and be a men as well. But we continue to see the act carried out,
Yeah.
and not much is done. And you know what bothers me? I say this all the time. When people come on this platform and they try to equate Liberia's scenario with that of America. Oh, the country you live in, do you know how many people get raped a day? Do you know what in those cases not solved and this and that? But what you fail to realize is that America is 350 million plus people. Liberia is about 5 million people. Liberia is
Manageable.
a close knit society. Liberia was never like this. I know the Liberia I grew up in rather.
Hmm.
Not to say that these things didn't happen, but it was not as pervasive and prevalent like this. But even at that, if people want justice, justice was somehow perpetrated. Today, the rule of law. The woman who just was beaten by this guy who is a committed uh, follower of one of the representatives called Jimmy something, beat the
Yeah.
poor pregnant woman to the
Yeah.
point that she lost her baby.
To kill a
The
baby.
police guy is asking for transportation,
Yeah.
telling
Yeah.
the people to pay his way to do his job.
To take the man to prison.
No, not
They
to take the
ask
man to
the
prison.
family.
Oh, no, not to take the man to prison, but to go pick up the medical bill. I mean, medical document from ERW hospital. The people
But
paid $30. Then they paid the man where he came by. He said the money was small, so the husband now, who is in his grief, had to put him on a motorbike and take him to ERW. Then the very document they brought down, the document is fishy. The document does not have, it does not correspond with the actual event. The date of death and what they have there are contract dating. So what type of society is this? That you gotta pay for you to get justice. You gotta pay the police way, you gotta pay the cell, you gotta pay the judge, you gotta pay. So then that's why people just give up.
but look,
That's why people just give up. That's why a lot of these people go on with no recourse. That what will come out of it? The man was breaking. He said, "What will come out of it? Nothing."
yeah, but look, Volcano, let me just give you a little bit of update on that case. The latest update is that the gentleman who physically assaulted this lady, she was carrying twins. She lost her twins.
Now
The
they show
kids were,
one. They show only one baby, so I didn't know they were twins.
yeah,
I heard twins.
the kids was taken to court, and then uh, what did the court do and the police? They released the gentleman who committed the act. So Spoon and other broadcast network raised alarm about the situation. And that's the saddest thing about our society. They expect people to raise alarm, then you see our cabinet ministers and other executives say they're doing something. A society should not function like that. The law should be the law. It doesn't matter who is involved. So this matter was reported in the media. It claimed the attention of the Minister of Justice, the Gender Minister, the Director of Police, and others. And today, I am told the gentleman went to court. The gentleman who physically assaulted his wife was summoned to court and he was sent to prison today. But guess what? To send this guy to the central prison, the judge asked the victims,
To pay away.
the husband of the victim, to pay for the motorbike to take the man to prison. Can you imagine that,
I mean,
Volcano? You
Liberia is
already
a sick
grieving?
place. Sick place. I tell you the truth.
You
Sometimes,
already
sometimes
grieving.
it just hurts so bad to the point that how did we come to this?
Yeah.
How did we come to this? And when people just sit here and and again, some of the people who talk on the head, they don't even know the country's independent day. They don't
Yeah.
know the year. They don't even know how the flag was formulated, how the Constitution came about. You know, this generation of the 30-year generation who don't understand the country's history, they come on social media and they just talk crap. They don't even know that Liberia have fire hydrant. They
Mhm.
don't even know that Liberia have mailboxes. They don't even know that Liberia had
so,
telephones on the street. They don't
Yeah.
know these things.
so
But they
then,
come here and they defend the wrong causes. And so it bothers me.
Yeah.
How did we get to that? That the victim must pay the perpetrator way
To
to
go
go
to
to jail.
prison. Yeah.
And the
Can you
court
imagine?
is declaring that.
Yeah. Say, hey, man, you
But
got to
my
pay for
people, the
that.
line is open 404-272-2808. You can call in and contribute, but we're discussing gender-based violence, the components of gender-based violence from sexual exploitation to sexual violence, rape, the whole nine yard. Tonight we've talked about some of the notable cases in Liberia, uh, and what has been done, and you know what this government commitment is, and how much has been done. Uh, we can continue this conversation because it is not one of the ordinary conversations. And our
Absolutely.
guest tonight, um, contributor, I'll put it,
Our
uh,
sister.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mrs. Martin Beye. Cindy is here with us. She put her podcast on hold to join us here because this conversation is very dear to her heart. One of the things she talked about that I think that is important, just before I go to this uh, caller, you in queue, just who I'll come to you, is that the TRC, which our colleague Massa Washington advocates for to the very core of her being,
Mhm.
is the way forward, the War and Economic Crimes Court. If some of these courts are, I mean, rather, if the TRC recommendations are put forth from what I saw in the document, it heals Liberia, it turns Liberia, it catapult Liberia into a new dimension.
Correct.
But people sitting on it because they're going to continue to pillage the country's economy. They want to continue to pocket the country's money. And because the Liberian man just run around with palm branches and spread lapa and push wheelbarrow, that's the complacency of his life. But just before one of you come in, let me take the caller and I'll come back to
Sure.
you.
Hmm.
Good evening, caller. Where you calling from and what's your name?
This is James David calling from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Welcome, James. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, and you guys?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm fine. Yacindy is under the weather. Moses is good.
Yeah, the way forward here is I will advise you all to get a platform. You shouldn't host any government entity on your platform. I think exposing them would be the best one because you're hosting them on the platform, they can't do nothing. Example, Spoon TV, they say they now carry out mental still awareness program on a platform or advertisement. But they bring in government officials to lie to the people. Carry on government official advertisement when they were calling on Georgia to even record the ambassador from Nigeria. They make him moreover, the man, I think going by, they not even record him. And they planning to make put him as somebody to you or something. So the way forward here is all of you people that get platform.
Continue, caller.
Yeah. We lost him.
No, caller, you still there? Go ahead.
Yeah, y'all.
He's off again.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, hi.
He's breaking it. Is James off?
On will be better for the Liberian people for them to understand and preaching the good news to the Liberian people. This is the way forward. This is what we need to do because in the next future, the next thing going to happen within the community going to be jungle justice. And you do it to me, I'll do it to you the other way.
All right.
That's why you're going to see all what happening in Liberia.
Thank you.
But listen,
Thank
because
you,
the
caller.
president don't have time. President making music, but he don't have time for that. But he say he woman what they call, which is lie. So if the president is not supporting this, he could be getting himself involved into it and making it very serious then to make Brandon Samuka case serious.
Thank you. Thank you, caller.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next caller. Caller, are you there? Caller calling from Brooklyn.
Yes, I'm here.
Good evening. Welcome to the Issues Room.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
What's your name?
My name is Cesar Goya, and I'm calling from Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Oh, Brooklyn, Minnesota. Brooklyn Park?
Well, it says Brooklyn, but I'm actually calling from Aberville, Minnesota.
All right.
Okay.
Welcome. What's your contribution?
Well, this is very interesting. I've been following you guys, and gender-based violence in Liberia is nothing new, but is something that's speaking. And I wanted to touch on something the panelist, my sister Yacindy, said about education. I think this is where we have to start focusing. Not that everything else is not important, Not that the other issues about people attacking pregnant women and them losing their babies are not very important. But if we must address this issue, we must address it from the root cause. Schools, like Cindy rightfully said, I'm a public school teacher here in Minnesota. Schools are supposed to be the safest places for our children. I'm going to repeat that. Schools are supposed to be the safest places for our children. If we are not even capable of protecting our kids where they're supposed to go to feel safe, to learn, to be able to contribute to our society, they start to learn violence from the school. They start to learn a sexual-based violence from the school, because when some of these students are forced to perform sexual acts for grades, whether or not they are passing their classes, they learn those behaviors from those schools. And I'm not saying all of the behaviors when it comes to sexual-based violence are primarily learned from the schools, but I'm saying most times in sociology and studies, it shows you that people that have been molested, people that have been abused, most times tend to abuse other people or molest other people. And so if we are opening our kids up to abusive educators and people who just take teaching, and not because they find it as a calling, but they find it as a second job, that is the problem. So I think every government who comes to power and really wants to protect our society and want to bring back decency to our society and protect our mothers, our sisters, and our brothers, I think that has to start from the school. We have to start being very, very vigilant on teachers who commit sexual violence against our students and start taking some action, sending people to jail and sending people to court and prosecuting them. We have to stop this thing in Liberia where people who have been victimized are forced to then financially fund the prosecution of their oppressors and people who are victimized them. This is double victimization right there. That is wrong, and we have to stop that. But I wanted to really call in because Yassine made a point that really stuck with me, and we should talk about education, because that is really wrong. It's happening all over in Liberia. It's been happening for a long time. This is not a George Weah issue. This is not Ellen Johnson Sirleaf issue, but this is baloney. And at some point in time, there has to be a government that says enough is enough. We have to stop right here, start right here, and stop prosecuting people. That's all I wanted to make, and I appreciate the conversation today.
Thank you. So I guess everything that's been said here tonight has to do with the lack of the rule of law. Even the perpetrators themselves know that the criminal justice system is weak, and not much going to come out of it. Not much. And you know that these people, they set these people free when you and myself already think they're in jail.
Oh yeah, they let them go.
Did you know that?
You know, and Volcano, you struck a very salient point regarding the rule of law. I know Yacine who follows Liberia consistently. We agree. In Liberia, in 2005, a law against rape was legislated. It made rape unbailable. As I speak to you right now, there has been a petition for an amendment of that law. There are people who are seeking that hit. Some of the cases reported either inflicted or some of the cases are just not true. So, predicated on that, there are people who are seeking that the charges should be bailable.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are on that. Now, let's look at the consequences of sexual violence in Liberia, or the implications. The implications, the consequences are profoundly huge for Ghana. First, we take note of is unwanted pregnancy. If you rape a 10-year-old or you rape an 11-year-old, or you guys were sneaking, she lives with you at home, and at the same time, mom or your wife is the aunt and she's the niece, you're raping her at night when aunt is sleeping, she conceives. That becomes a secret. It becomes a pregnancy that this young woman will have to struggle with for years. And Volcano, we have multiplicity of cases of such situation. Deaths. Sometimes they go to abort, they die. The young people die, or the young women die. Even older women, they die. So abortion is one of those deaths. The death toll increases. It's one of those implication. Medical complications, the spread of STDs. Like you spoke about the guy in West Point that was
Yeah, that
spreading
Macintosh guy.
HIV, right?
The man
Yeah.
was HIV positive.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Man like that raping someone's daughter without a condom, and the guy would just get spreading. So STDs are spread from one person to another when these kinds
Moses,
of stuff happen. Yeah,
let me take this caller. You come back
sure.
on
Hmm.
the adverse effect. Caller
Hmm.
from a 0165 number. Welcome to the show. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, Volcano. This is James Koyen.
Hey James, how you doing, my man?
Great, great,
Great.
great discussion.
Compliments of the
Great,
season.
many returns, man, many returns.
Good, good.
Great discussion tonight, and Mr. Goya wouldn't have said it any better. I think the issue is that on this kind of platform, when we hit the issues, when we criticize and find all of the negatives about the issues, we should be mobilizing on how we can get people to leave the closet and report some of these unreported cases. Like I said, one of the postings I did earlier was that there are so many unreported rape and as standard, how do you call it?
SGV something.
Yeah,
SBGV.
Sexually
in
based
Liberia. My
violence.
sister runs a non-profit that deals with sexual gender-based violence issues, and but she tells me because they don't have incentives to get these people to leave from the closet and report these issues, there are so many cases unreported. The UN and other agencies that are funding some of these agencies.
Yeah.
Just can't get sufficient cases reported because, like you said, I mean, if the cases are taken to court, the prosecution process is slow. But let me just say this much, that we need to devote some of these the politics for some of these discussions, because our people are really struggling with it. It has become so prevalent that, I mean, you get in Liberia and everybody see the thing that, oh, you got come from the same old thing. When you come from America, maybe the thing got some money, whereas you just buy a little ticket to go and sit down and do your little business and come back. People think you got money. So from abroad who know about these issues, they in Liberia and perpetrate some of the very same old thing. They come from Liberia, they tell you Liberia very sick. And
Yep.
we come on some of these broadcast media and say,
Oh yeah,
and say the country is bad. Drug we are doing this, drug we are doing this. This is not about drug we are. It's about the very Liberian who go to Liberia, perpetrate a crime, come back here and blame the people on the ground for perpetrating the crime. But we need to advocate for ways to see how we can get our people from the closet to report some of these cases. That's the major issue right here.
Thank you.
And Yassini said it. I hope that her group can mobilize as well and start finding funding to see how we can get people to leave the closet. If we have some of the issues, that guy from Grand representative, we're going to go find out a little girl and bring her from the bush, because she's staying in the bush with the child. They will bring her to town, get her somewhere, let the guy be reported, and get this guy arrested. This kid doesn't have a statutory limit.
Yeah.
But again, this is Liberia.
Thank you.
Vakina, you have another call? Can I say something to Koya,
Yeah,
please?
go ahead. The caller hang up. I hope the caller will call back from a Georgia number.
Mr. Koya, let me first read this. This is 2018, December, and the president wrote this. I have zero tolerance for sexual and gender-based violence and intend to personally champion my administration renew effort to eradicate this unacceptable cancer from our society. This is the president's, maybe you can see that flyer that went around that motivated a lot of
Quickly. Caller, please hold. I'll come to you. Continue.
Okay. It states our vision, unite our people, ensure that our people prosper, protect the right of our citizenry, promote equality, empower our people, strengthen democracy, protect women's rights, fight corruption. One Liberia, one people, one destiny. It is important to all of us. And Mr. Guerre, if you can inbox me, I would love to be on my team because and my brother. Um, when you choose when you are a single parent and a man decide to choose or you decide to marry a woman, you marry that woman, you become the head of the household. There is no way that we can divorce politics from national issue. It's not possible. The leader is in the ball is in the leader's court to set the tune and steer the ship to say this is not tolerated because he has the power. He literally has the magic wand. Remember when Mr. Weah took over and he started wearing the purple suit? All the young boys wanted to wear purple suit. The reason in America they try to get the best among us because that best become the role model.
Yeah.
We in the United States believe that every child that walk in our classroom is the next astronaut that's going to go into space. It is the next best thing or engineer, the next president. So we have a responsibility to protect them. So yeah, this story lies on the shoulder of the president. Is it new? No, but we must change the conversation, and we must
Thank you.
advocate.
Let me bring this caller in quick. The caller from a 2829 Georgia number. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry for putting you in long hold, but
Oh, that's
Sorry.
yeah, Cindy was making a point. Welcome. What's your name?
Amos George.
Thank you. What's your contribution?
Hi to everybody. Says Yasin, how you doing? Look,
Good.
We come a long way.
Where we find ourselves today is the end result of impunity.
Yeah.
Any country that don't hold people accountable for the wrongdoing, this is the product you get as a result of everything that goes on in the country. Imagine the young men that allegedly beat that pregnant woman and killing the two fetus. This is not his first time. This guy, he had been sent to Saw Beach before and was released for the same violent act and allegedly they say he beat another pregnant woman again. So the guy has a history. Why would the police allow this kind of person to be in the street when he has a history of violence against pregnant women? So here's the thing here. If the government don't set the tune, don't hold people accountable, other people will follow because they will say that is the order of the day. You beat somebody in the street, whether a woman or whoever, you beat them and you walk away. So people will follow those attitudes. People say we always accuse them or accusing the government. No, the leader is supposed to set the tune because it happened in the past and it was wrong. So you cannot do it today to say because it happened in the past. No, that's why change come about. Okay, that's why change come about. But look today, people want to blame the schools. Yes, but you think the school is responsible? No. The economic situation in the country, children 14-year-old, go to Morovia. I just came from Morovia recently. 13-year-old children in the street. The parents cannot control them because the parents are not economically capable of taking charge of the household. So when that 13-year-old girl leave and go and sleep up tomorrow, bring $5, how can the man say, don't go, when you're coming from today, don't go there? She will tell the man, I brought $5. You don't tell God, thank you. You will see what you will eat. The children now start making decisions because while their parents cannot afford to support the children. Any home that you are in charge, you feed that home, you make the decision. It just come on. But today, the children in Liberia are the people who are ruling the parents. As a result, now the children are now making decisions in the country.
Thank you. Let me take the next caller.
Okay,
thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Caller from the 0644 number, Texas.
Yes.
Welcome to the Issues Room. What's your name?
Okay, thank you. Hi, Volcano. This is Ciara Townsend.
Okay. Good evening.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome, Ciara.
I'm from Houston, Texas. I just was kind of casually following the conversation. I had a couple of things I wanted to add. Hello, Volcano, and I didn't get the name of the other panelists.
Moses and Cindy.
Yes. Hi, Sister Cindy. I thank you guys for having this discussion. You know, this is
Welcome.
something that's very prevalent in our society. I didn't hear a lot of women call, as often is the case when you all are discussing these types of issues. So I just wanted to add my voice.
Thank you.
One of the things that I had noticed when you guys were discussing, we were talking about, you know, how sometimes the parents can be very, very complicit in a lot of these things when there's sexual abuse going on with the children. Sometimes the parents are not supervising, and then sometimes, like you said, because of abject poverty, they feel they have no option but to, you know, comply when somebody comes to want to sexually assault their children. And I just feel like there's not enough educate. We need to start really drilling down on providing education to these people, because I don't think that if the parents really truly understood what they are doing when they comply or complicit with these acts, they're really selling the soul of their child. And it might put food on the table now, but you are destroying that child's potential to even be an asset to the family in the future. You know, I think a lot of these parents, if you could ask them, say somebody wants to give you $25 a month or whatever your example is, for if you will just cut off your child's right hand, you know, or their right arm. That's how you are scarring that child and crippling that child. When you give that little girl or that little boy to this person for them to sexually use and abuse.
Yeah.
So I think the education is not there. Also, we don't talk to, you know, parents aren't taught to teach their small children about good touch, bad touch, who's allowed to touch you. You know, the society is not open like that for people to even speak freely and tell their children, no, this person shouldn't touch you, you know, this, you know, and even older girls, you know, but you start at a very young age, boys and girls. You don't touch people there. Nobody should touch you there. You know, it's something that we don't talk about enough. And then also I noticed, I think there was a couple of times that with Madam SG and, you know, Dr. Francine, some of the ladies in our community going on Spoon on Saturdays talking about this particular issue, which I really appreciate. But I wanted to go back to the language that we use when we talk about sexual and gender-based violence. And I speak from a perspective, I'm a nurse by profession, but I mostly work in mental health, and I mostly work with substance abuse and all of that. So we get a lot of sensitivity training when it comes to these issues. And I just want to say, first of all, like, let's be very careful about the language we use, and don't use the word sex when you're talking about rape. These two are not interchangeable. The terms are not interchangeable. And people need to understand there's a clear distinction, you know? Yeah. So don't say somebody, you know, don't equate the two. You know, we have to be deliberate about our language. And then also in our society, we use a lot of euphemisms. Let's put it like that. Like, so people will say, oh, that man, he was playing with the little girl. No, he's not playing with the little girl. He's molesting her. He's sexually abusing her. So I think that those are the things that kind of really came to mind. If y'all can suggest if you can also, because, you know, we mean well sometimes, but because we are so uncomfortable speaking about this, because
but also Seattle, if you were brought up in Liberia, we have to discuss in the context of our people understanding, you know, and it's good education to add that. But when you use the term the male playing with a girl, you know, uncomfortable with, they will understand it critically than molesting, because molesting sound a little too harsh and a little too violent in our culture setting because of the lack of education, like you said, which is important. But yeah, we will
I agree with you on that. But I wanted to say, because it's a euphemism, so we can say, oh, they're playing with, but let's not call it that. So even while you're having the conversation.
Oh no, absolutely, you're right. Yeah. We have to be bold and call a spade a spade.
Playing with the little girl, but let's not. We'll tell the person we're not going to call it that, because even a small child. Now you say playing. That's a word that you use with children that can be, you know, they actually play.
Yeah.
So I think I get what she's saying. Yes.
Yeah. We understand. We understand.
Right.
Thank you.
Watering it down. So that's all I wanted. But thank you all for having the conversation, and I'll be monitoring. And thank you again for the platform.
Thank you, Sierra. Well, yes, I think she's right. But we haven't been very euphemistic here, because we said this conversation will be a little harsh, and viewers and listeners' discretions are advised because we knew that it can be
Yeah.
sensitive in a way, but again, we'll take any kind of opinion and contribution. So thank you again for making that very clear. But
So,
we are
but
at
you know,
8:30, so
Yeah.
let's
okay.
just take another 10 minutes,
Yeah.
okay, and wrap up.
Yeah. And I would like to say
So now
quickly.
the lines are closed. We're not taking callers again.
Okay.
So we can just go around the room in this last 10 minutes,
Okay.
put our points together and then wrap it up. We can always come back because this
Yeah.
is an ongoing issue.
Yeah. Let me just quickly say that as we discussing the consequences, one thing that you're also going to learn about the issue of sexual exploitation or rape is the psychological trauma that comes along with that. Can you imagine a 10-year-old being raped repeatedly, growing up with that? It's going to bother that 10-year-old for years to come. You know, so many people today are even afraid to go around, opposite sex whenever they reflect on what happened to them. Growing up, say you're a young man growing up with quote unquote uncle, and every night you go to bed, he's in bed with you. He's the one who pays the school fee, he's the one who provides the food. Your parents are up in Lofa, specifically in Vow. Who do you talk to? You have to live with that for years. It's really sad. And
And you
and
know that some of them got a mind to record some of these things.
oh yeah.
There was one on social media.
Hmm.
I was sick to the stomach. I couldn't sleep. I was haunted for days.
Yeah, for
Somebody
them.
sent that stuff. I don't know who told me to click. This grown man sitting there, and this child may have been 3 or 4 years old. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. I mean, if I could find that guy, you have
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you see, she has it. Yeah.
I mean, I just deleted it because
Mhm.
it just came, and then something told me to click, and I just it was the saddest day of my life.
Yeah.
3 or 4 year old on her little knee, and this guy, I am his face when I show him, but
Oh,
I think they
that
can
one,
find
yeah,
him.
that one is outrageous. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one.
But they
Yeah.
can find him by the child because
Mhm.
the child was very clear. You could see the
Yeah.
child. Three
Yeah.
or 4 year old Moses.
Yeah,
It
exploiting the
was it was crazy.
exploiting the kid. So now, quickly, I would like to end on by looking at the uh, the challenges in prosecuting rape cases in Liberia and the culture of impunity. We have a criminal justice system in Liberia, and these are things that sometimes you talk about it. So, oh well, you guys hit the government, hit the government, hit the government, but it's just the truth of the matter. We have a very corrupt criminal justice system. Take, for example, the situation that we just made reference to. A judge asking the husband of the victim to transport someone who molested his wife physically and killed his unborn twins. So you go to seek legal redress. If you don't have money, Volcano, I am told you better get justice in Liberia. The police is so corrupt. The police is underfunded. The other day, I was listening to a broadcast from Maryland, and this reporter was saying that the entire county, the police department had no vehicle. So, in terms of a crisis, Yasini, you tell me, how is the police going to respond? So, we have all these challenges. It really makes it difficult for people to get justice in Liberia. And
Thank you.
again, traditional interferences. Oh, let's take it to the paramount chief. Let's take it to the zoo. With all these things happening, it makes it difficult to really prosecute people who are literally, exploiting and raping our people in our country. And that's how I'd like to wrap it. Yes, indeed.
Cindy?
So let me advise Liberian people this: laws are not made to keep you out or to keep you in. They're made so we can all coexist. That's what laws are made. And
Yeah.
Liberians must understand hurting people hurt people. When we continue this culture of hurting, that's the society that we're cultivating. and it is important. And the people that we choose to lead us, we must evaluate them because they didn't get up one morning and became corrupt or ignore the law. To always have lived above that. Secondly, the just the number who is in power now. Three Liberian little girls were molested during the UP-led government. He bailed them out, and we went against that, but he's the justice on the bench. What do we anticipate? So I would say to all of you, and the Odeshiaman case, you know that it happens to be the brother of the vice president. Nothing happened, but something will happen. We cannot throw it in the towel. We must continue to work. People like you adding your voices. Other men will listen to you. You notice that everybody that called tonight, except for one person, they were all men. So when your voice are louder, we're stronger to carry the message until we can heal because you guys have fathers, your sons, and your husbands, and you know the pain. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very good point. And I would add that there's no way we can have these kinds of conversation without politics. And sometimes it's not the core of politics. Chastising your government, telling your government what they're not doing that they're supposed to do. I doubt it if it's politics. It's just calling a spade a spade. If I decided that I'm going to be in position of authority and everyone is looking up to me, then if I take the lead on something, they will follow. But if I just stand there, the group will stand behind me. If I say something, the people will listen. But if I sit around mute, the people will just stand there. But if I take to sing crappy songs all over the place and joking with the presidency, then you want us to accept that? You think I went to school for nothing? That I must sit here and accept something like this? When I know my country's potential and it can be better, it can catapult into the next 10, 15, 20 years from now and be that Liberia that I grew up in and know the potential of that country. Let's stop playing around here, my people. Let's stop playing. Anyone who really mean well for Liberia will not accept some of the stuff that President Weah is doing, and we shouldn't sit around here and clap for that. There's so much happening in our country, so much important things. Rather than build a playground or build feeder roads, if we allow the country's core values to erode, then what the essence of building playground? Who will go and play on the playground? Who will ride on those roads? The value of a country is critical. The national infrastructure, and that is what's happening. Everything is being eroded in the country. Everything is being eroded. How can you be grieving and then they're begging you to pay the person way? But there's a man who didn't go to work. The man said he's a mechanic. He hasn't gone to work for days because of this crisis. But you're still trying to go in his pocket to pay the police officer away. So, this is a shame. And we cannot sit here and continue to clap for these kinds of things because we are partisans. Thank goodness I am a member of no political party in Liberia, don't have the intention to be, because the political parties themselves are not serious. They're not serious, and that is why our presidency is taken for a joke and people continue to dance to those kinds of songs. But you know what? There's a time for everything under the heavens. That's my closing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. We'll reach out to you again to have this conversation. But Moses, I think
Yeah.
the truth here is people who don't see this, they might be blind.
Yeah.
They don't have ears to hear. They don't have, nose to smell.
Mhm.
They don't have hands or feeling to touch, because it bothers me when every day you wake up something ugly about Liberia.
Yeah.
Every day you wake up, something is ugly about Liberia.
Mhm.
And it just seems as though nobody seems to be bothered by it.
No one cares. No one cares. So how you call it? The land or what? Survival of the fittest.
The truth
You
here
gotta
is,
pay for
the
yourself.
truth here is, my brother, I rather live in a zinc house, and I was born and grew up in a zinc house.
Yeah.
But in that house, there was values.
Values. Yeah.
And I saw my rich friends who were living in the best home with everything going haywire.
Yeah.
Today, some of them didn't become anything.
Yeah. You see that?
So it's not about this infrastructure. It's not building big buildings in our country. It's about keeping our value system in place.
Yeah.
We cannot allow that country to be eroded in every way of the word erode.
No, we
We
can't.
have to work on those value systems.
I agree.
And it's simple. It's simple. I tell the guys who do work for me when I go to Liberia, the plastic bags, as soon as they drink the water, they throw it down. I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah.
As soon as they drink the water, they throw it down. As soon as they drink the water, they throw it down. So by the time you look, the whole website,
The whole place flooded.
so
Yeah.
plastic bag.
Yeah.
So I said, listen, gentlemen, take a big cement bag
Yeah.
right here, set it in the
Just
corner,
put
you
stuff
drink your
in
water, you go and put it inside. Oh, that American thing, that what you can bring. I said, okay, then you're not going to work here no
So
more.
you're just keeping your own environment clean. That's all
No,
about
but you
it.
know why they're doing that? So I
No.
can pay somebody now to do cleaning after the work because
Oh,
the man said,
no.
"Well, boss man, after the work, you still got to pay somebody to clean the place."
No,
I said,
man.
"Oh, so that's why you putting the plastic bag all around here?" But that's what
No.
I'm talking about, Moses.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
value system. You got to tell people in your home that this is the value of my house.
Mhm.
This is how we live here, and I will hold you accountable when you visit.
Absolutely.
You know, the same thing in the workplace.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go around in the workplace, I see people just supinely sit around and I said, listen, this is not your home.
You're being paid, man.
This is not your home. This is your workplace. There is a way to be in your workplace. When you
Yeah.
go home, you can lay back, kick your foot, put it on the couch, do whatever. But this is not your home.
No,
You
not
know,
like that.
so that's what killing our country. The people have lost on every important aspect of the cultural value of the country, the things that kept us together. Today, there's no neighborhood. I just call it people living by side, no neighborhood.
No one cares.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Your house, the men take it down and throw it on your land.
Yeah.
That's
If
no
you're
value.
sleeping, the man come and poop right behind your house.
Yeah. The man see no urinating, he's standing and take his penis out and pee on your
Put it
fence.
right on your
Or
house.
pee
Yeah.
on
Wall
the
of your
back of
house.
your zing.
Yeah. That's
So that's the problem. And people think that it's all about, oh yeah, the man doing well, the building roads, the building this, the building that.
man.
All those things would not matter if the country continue to regress with our systems broken apart, no rule of law. Anybody does what he or she wants to do, no accountability. It becomes a place of Armageddon. It becomes a place of gangster paradise. It becomes a place of lawlessness. And
And we
that
don't want that.
will happen based on what will continue. We continue to see if our president does not wake up. He knows the society he grew up in. His peers, when we all were growing up, because we are is not older than me that long, or much rather.
Yeah.
When we all were growing up, we know what our value system was. And if this president can go back to the value systems and work on upholding those core values of our society, of our community, holding people accountable, then of course, it will only help our country.
But
we need to focus on every aspect.
forget to look.
So
I would just like to piggyback quickly on what you said.
yeah,
I think what Mr. Weir needs to do is to first try to understand what the presidency is about. The pride, the dignity that comes along with the presidency. Being president of a country of a little over 5 million people, he's not president of a soccer team. So he cannot reduce the presidency to mockery. He has to watch what he does, and he has to govern. He has to take charge, and he has not done yet. Thank you.
yeah, my man. So it was good hanging out tonight. More of these kinds of conversation will kind of help shape things
Yeah.
by God's grace.
Thank
Again,
you.
we say thank you to all of you who was here tonight with us. We appreciate your candid opinions. We appreciate your time with us. We think that it's because you love your country and you want to see good for Liberia. While we all may have dissenting views, you may have your opinion, I may have mine, the issues room. We try to stay level head, but sometimes, uh, this is about Liberia, and there's no way you can continue to wear white clothes. Sometimes you got to wear different color, when it comes to this kind of conversation. Um, why people want you to be politically correct, of course, we'll stay within the realms of being politically correct. But in the same token, we have to, strike when it's necessary and strike in a positive way. So again, the Issues Room is your alternative media platform. Join us again, and we'll be back here. Thank you so much for everything. And Moses, Friday again.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll be back on Friday by God's grace.